All right, how's it going, guys? Josh coming back for part two of the Leave series. Decided I'm actually going to break this into three parts because after looking over my notes, I want to include the actual quarantine process and what that's going to look like for you on returning from leave. And so that's a little more detailed, and it's going to be tough to cram it into just two videos. I'm going to make a third one on that process, so stay tuned for that. All right, so as far as the return goes, you're going to need some documentation, okay? And it's going to be the same documentation that you had on your departure, all right? That's going to be your original PCS orders, the ones you came to Korea with, your leave form part 2 signed by your commander, and your negative COVID test, okay? So the negative COVID test, a couple things to note there. There is a timeline which this has to be accomplished. That is 72 hours from departure, okay? So you have to have your negative COVID test accomplished within 72 hours of your departure back to Korea, all right? So my example is I was flying out on a Thursday. I got my test accomplished on a Tuesday. The organization I went with reported to me that the COVID test would be coming back within 24 to 48 hours, all right? So you're gonna be kind of up against the wire there, but that's just kind of the way it is right now, all right? So, second key point with the COVID test. This has got to be a PCR test that you're accomplishing, okay? Somewhere on your documentation, ensure that it says PCR test. My example that I have is that I got my negative test result back. It said COVID-19 negative. However, it didn't identify that the test was a PCR test, all right? So what I had to do is get the original order that I had placed with the organization to have that test accomplished, which identified that the test I requested was a PCR test, all right? There are a host of different COVID-19 tests that you can get right now. However, the only test that will be accepted for entry into the Republic of Korea is a PCR test. All right, so once you have your documentation, you're gonna get ready to travel. You're going to check your bags in. At this point, they will ask for your testing documentation, identifying you have a PCR test. You will check into the gate, and again, you will be asked to prove that you had a PCR test, all right? Now, once you've checked your bags, you've cleared the gate, and you're flying, you'll be given some customs forms at this point, all right? I'm not gonna go into how to fill out all the customs forms. If you do have any questions, ask your flight attendant. However, I will note that on the customs forms, anywhere that it says passport number, for you as US military, this is gonna be your DOD ID number on the back of your CAT card, all right? So for you, passport number equals DOD ID card. All right, so now that you've accomplished your flight, you've enjoyed the amazing entertainment and the phenomenal airline food, you're ready to deplane, okay? At this point, you're gonna start going through medical screening, immigration, and customs, all right? First part there, medical screening. As you go through this, you're gonna see a lot of direction and signage telling you to download a app. This app is for Korean nationals or civilians entering the country who are going to quarantine. It does not apply to you as US military, so you can disregard downloading that app. You can do it if you want to, but it's not gonna do you any good. Okay, at this point, you are going to go to the first part of the medical screening. This is where they will verify that you have had that PCR test accomplished within 72 hours of your departure, all right? So have that paperwork ready. Next part of the medical screening is you're going to have a temperature check taken, and you're going to give them some paperwork that that was given to you on the plane as part of your customs forms, okay? After you've cleared medical screening, you're going to go to immigrations, okay? This is where you're going to prove that you are legally allowed to enter the country. To do this, you're gonna need that other documentation that we talked about. You're gonna need your original PCS orders and your leave form, all right? You're gonna show those with your CAT card, and you'll be allowed entry into the country at this point. After you clear immigrations, you can pick up your checked bags, and you'll go through customs where you will declare any items you might be carrying. And then you will be done with the whole immigration, customs, and medical screening portion, and you'll be ushered out into the main arrivals area of the airport, okay? At this point, you will be flagged down by US military personnel in uniform. If not, just go out there and find someone in uniform. There's lots of them running around right there, and just let them know that, you know, what service you're in and what base you need to get back to, okay? After you've been identified as active military, they will take you to a holding area, okay? This holding area is where you're gonna wait for transport. Okay, military transport to take you to your installation. All right, so ROE for the holding area. There's gonna be some water there, some snacks from the USO. Love the USO, always coming through for me wherever I've traveled in the world. Those guys are awesome, okay? So at the holding area, you cannot leave this area for any reason other than an emergency and to use the restroom. To use the restroom, you must be escorted. So just be aware of that. While you're waiting, you're gonna be in this holding area with some other military personnel, okay? Waiting for transport. How the transport works, okay, is this is military transport. It's contracted out. It's going to be a bus, and this bus is going to take you to your installation. The way it was working for me and the people that I was with is that it was kind of a loop for this one bus. So we went to Osan, then Camp Humphreys, and then Kunsan, okay? So unfortunately, if you're at Kunsan, you're going to have a longer bus ride than someone at Osan. So just be aware of that as you're traveling, okay? So that kind of clears up the process. At this point, you're going to be taken to your installation, and my third video is going to cover what that quarantine process looks like after you arrive at your installation. All right, so if anybody has any questions, any comments, anything that I'm forgetting, please put that in there for other people. If you do have questions, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. All right, everybody, thanks again for watching.